Hello.
Hi.
My name
Good morning.
my name is Willows,
And my name is Tyler.
and this is Alcohol Beyond This Point, the
Again.
podcast where we debate business topics and we're trying less politics, but also politics.
Honestly, there's not a lot going on right now, so.
And then we re-debate them when we're drunk and see if we come to the same conclusions. So
Or just continuously rant.
or just do whatever. I don't know.
Progressively more belligerent.
Whatever. So today we're drinking. I discovered a new cocktail thanks to Joshua Weissman. Shout out Josh Weissman. He's a cooking guy on YouTube, and it's called I'm gonna butcher this again. Palamo, Palamo.
Nailed it.
Something
Nailed
like
it.
that.
Yeah, perfect.
It's basically just grapefruit and tequila, essentially. So you want to get some ice, and I'll make you one.
Oh yeah, freezer. Duh.
Yeah, I've been working on building my my home office here. You can, if you're watching the video version of this podcast on youtube.com/votewillows, you can see kind of in this corner where Tyler is standing right now. You can kind of see my computer and everything and some lights. And I'm working on my home office and put a beer fridge in here, and yeah, it's nice.
It's very sketchy to move around this table. It's incredibly rickety. Like, you touch it and it collapses. It's fantastic. Only the best.
Well, that was a good 7-minute break while I made a fucking cocktail.
Great audio content. We're just going to cut it out.
We're going to cut it out. Welcome back to Alcohol Beyond This Point. Just do the intro again. What's up?
Well, it's been colder than the devil's asshole.
Yeah, we broke...
Wait.
Yeah, we broke a bunch of cold records. It was like -50. And... yeah, we all did okay. We actually went for a hike.
We went hiking. We went to a cabin.
Yeah, it was -47. We went for a hike.
Killed the cars
in a provincial park, and then your car didn't start. But Texas is getting
hammered, man.
Oh, I saw a bunch of videos of like their houses like collapsing because it was so cold. Well, and it was like -5. But
well,
whatever.
no, it's like it's not far below freezing, but none of the houses are built for it, and nobody's got furnaces that can handle it. So immediately people started switching on like whatever space heaters, whatever shit they get their hands on, right, to keep themselves warm. And simultaneously, you have was it the coal plants or the natural gas plants? But
yeah, they froze or whatever.
Well, yeah, a big portion of the power generation just wouldn't function in the coal, so they had shut them down. So you had a surge in demand, and then you had a drop in supply. And the fact that they're Texas, they don't link themselves to the rest of America. Like, it, from what I learned just listening briefly, was the U.S. is basically split into 3 grids. There's the eastern seaboard, western seaboard, and then like kind of like the southern central. And that's the three main grids. And if like one of them goes out, if there's a major disaster, they can like migrate power back and forth.
Yeah.
The fourth one is Texas.
Because I was reading...
They don't want federal oversight.
Yeah, you probably know more about this than I was. I was just reading briefly that they're completely deregulated. They're allowed to just do whatever they want, and they don't...
it's mostly privatized.
And they don't want the federal government involved.
Yeah.
So they just kind of
so it's like
maintain their own grid.
It's like a highly competitive, and this is going to kind of lead on to our debate/topic today, is it's an example of a free market that has been very beneficial to the customers in their monthly bills, right?
Because their shit's cheap as fuck, right?
Yeah, it's super cheap. The service is good because it's competitive, and everyone's been happy until it's literally gone so wrong that rolling blackouts that are supposed to last 45 minutes are lasting days. Houses not coming back online, houses freezing, people dying. Like, it's not. They set up a bunch of like emergency warming shelters, and then those lost power.
Yeah.
Like, it's like not good.
Yeah.
And there's obviously, if you believe in climate change. Hooray!
Well, I don't.
Okay. This isn't going to be the last time it's going to happen.
Global
most likely.
warming. Then how come Texas is freezing? Take that, libs.
I didn't say global warming.
Oh yeah.
Oops.
That was the worst branding mistake on like Al Gore's part.
Right?
Was calling it global warming.
That was him?
I think that's what he says in An Inconvenient Truth. He says global warming. He's like, the planet's going to rise a certain amount. Like, by focusing on that and not focusing on what climate change actually is, which is abnormalities, right?
Yeah, just extreme weather becoming normal.
By focusing on the warming part of it, I think, and like the glaciers melting and stuff, which maybe is the worst side effect.
Let's the boomers
But I
look
think,
the other way.
yeah, I think the marketing wise, I think, yeah, the boomers are now like, well, it's cold, so global warming doesn't exist.
Yeah, and nobody in Texas is annoyed right now at the fact that they've got really weird weather. But anyways, I'll get to the point on the free market part.
Yeah.
So everyone's happy as can be, but the thing is, there's no incentives. There's no state incentives, and absolutely no federal ones because they're disconnected from the federal grid. But there's no state incentives or local or municipal to create any redundancies or power reserves. So they only generate exactly as much as they need.
Because they only generate as much as they sell, otherwise they think they're wasting it.
Exactly. Then they're spending money for no reason.
Sure.
So there's no financial incentives for it to be done. And because it's all privatized, the only way that you could get that done is to have an end game for it. But nobody makes profit planning for a maybe.
Yeah. So I think I know where you're going with the debate topic, is because I'm notoriously known as Mr. Free Market.
Free market at all costs.
Free market at all costs. And you're going to say the free market has failed Texas.
I'm saying the free market has its limits.
Sure. Okay.
I'm not going to say the free market is a bad idea. I'm saying like free market with certain safeguards around certain things is important. Like, for example, public utilities and like basic human rights.
The problem is, though, is that giving government a little, they take a lot.
So you're going to make this... Is that your stance, is the slippery slope argument?
No. Okay.
That is a classically really bad argument.
Yeah, okay.
No, that is true in like security.
Yeah.
Which actually that can dovetail into another conversation that I think is very important right now, which is I'll bring it up right now, so hopefully either one of us will remember the crackdown on the Capitol insurrection, and
Trump got acquitted.
Yeah, no, that's not fucking news.
Free Donald Trump.
That's not news. No, the crackdown on the insurrection is people are calling for like we need to do more in terms of national security against like domestic extremists. And most people on the left are like, no, we should not, because every single time you enhance security with the intentions of using it on someone like the Proud Boys,
they use it on Muslims.
It's immediately turned around and used on like Muslims or Antifa or like people in Black Bloc are now thrown in prison for being secessionists. Like, it never gets applied to the people that it was intended for, and will always get applied to the libs, and they get fucking on because they're stupid as hell and they always fall for the same tricks.
That was a spicy point. Okay, so let's jump into this.
I'm pretty sure AOC said that in an interview a couple days ago.
Remember that? What's that movie? The Interview? No. So whatever. The Interview is the stupid one with
Kim Jong-un?
Sim Rogan? What's his name? Seth Rogen killing Kim Jong-un? No, remember, the clip went really, really viral. It's with the guy from Dumb and Dumber that's not Jim Carrey.
Nobody knows him.
And he's like, he's like on a stage, and someone asks him like, why is America the greatest country ever? And he's like, it's not. And then he just starts ranting. He's like, we're fucking, 40th in math. We're 107th in science. Like, he's like, America leads in two categories, like the number of people who think angels are real and the whatever it is,
number
right?
of guns.
Yeah, whatever it was. And anyway, but he has a line in that rant that he's like, you know why people hate liberals? Because they fucking lose.
Yeah, they do. They do.
So good.
I think about this a lot. I'm like, why do why do liberals always lose in politics, or at least never retain power, even if they like have, let's say, 55-60% of the population votes in their direction?
What is it? They're too nice. Is that what it is?
I think liberals and Democrats and just general people with that system in business or otherwise, they like governing, they like running their business, and they like enjoy their craft, and then they immediately get steamrolled by someone whose only priority is to win and have power.
Yeah.
Because like that's what more so drives the right is it's a pursuit of power. It's a pursuit of dominance, a pursuit of winning. Like, it's a need to win. It's a need to be right.
Sure.
And people with good intentions just get fucking crushed every single time.
Yeah, politics isn't a place for people with good intentions, right?
Right. Well, I mean, politics are business too. Like, you have, there's a lot of businesses out there that are, people that have fantastic, fantastic business, great work, but they will get steamrolled.
I saw a quote a while ago that was liberals found businesses and conservatives run them.
Yeah, I can see that.
I want to jump back into this free market, but first to have our segment we call Shot Time, where you, the audience, can or Shot Caller, yeah.
Don't fuck that one up.
I've been drinking all day.
It's our segment.
Segment we call Shot Caller, where audience can pick the shot we're going to take, and because we are drinking Palumbo, we're gonna drink.
Nailed
we're gonna take a shot of the tequila that I made the cocktail with. So
Sauza
has a cock on it.
Ooh, my favorite.
I know. Cheers.
That's it. No name, just the one with the cock.
So, the free market provides, and all these social. Just kidding. So.
I agree. The free market provides.
Okay, so why?
But there is no incentive.
Here's my argument. The free market provided, however, Texans are dumb.
I think it's just it's a culmination of a bunch of perfect things of like, for one, 90% of them, 99% of them don't believe in climate change in the first place.
Yeah.
And then there's the fact that even if something like this happens to them, they probably won't do anything different.
Yeah, well, I saw, these buildings don't have heat.
Yeah.
And don't have, insulation and shit. That's wild.
No, they don't.
How do you even build a building like that?
With sticks.
It's wild.
Just a bunch of sticks. I love watching videos of American builders talking about Canadian homes.
Yeah.
And they speak about our construction with reverence.
Yeah.
This one guy was talking about, he's like, you should see this Canadian home. It's built with built with thick foam, or super thick foam. It's like, you can literally heat this 3,000 square foot house with a hairdryer. And it's like, yeah, we doing that up here because we kind of have to. And when the net zero laws come in, everyone's house is going, new houses are eventually going to be built like that. One of my mentors that's a home builder, he's building houses now at 2030 standards, which is going to be this kind of net zero for new homes. And that it's not that much different, and it's not that much more expensive. But yeah, he's building himself a 12,000 square foot home, and he's it's going to be $15 to $20 a month in electricity to run this 20,000 square foot home, including heat.
Yeah, that's insane.
And air conditioning.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's
but
super efficient.
I guess.
And they just don't have any infrastructure for it. Again, there's no incentive for it.
My counter argument would be, if this is just a failure of the free market, why is California also struggling heavily with electricity right now?
Yeah, fantastic question. I don't know a lot about the energy grids, believe it or not.
Fair point. Neither do I.
California itself, I think California is a prime example of just too many people in a place where there wasn't meant to be a lot of people.
That's fair.
They literally had to build aqueducts to get enough water just to build a city.
They're in the desert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure they could get enough power. They have rolling blackouts, but it's half of this is actually something that I learned about today. They did mention California about, how they deal with rolling blackouts, but apparently one of the main reasons that they do a lot of those rolling blackouts in certain areas, or prolonged ones during a heat wave, is to avoid fires. Because if you have extremely dry conditions, there's a bunch of wind. Wind knocks down power lines all the time, and then sparks a fire.
That's
so
interesting.
they actually cut off zones that are like high risk for starting a fire. So that's some of the reasons that you're rolling blackouts, and also it's because of like extreme heat waves and surges of people using the air conditioners. Again, for the same reason, because like how many people live in LA and don't have a properly built or insulated or ventilated place that they live? Because I think it's probably almost more of a product of the real estate markets being fucked up. Like you've lived in a bunch of houses where like AC is a joke. Like you have a little fucking thing in the window.
Yeah, or I don't have. Yeah, I've lived in places where we don't have air conditioning at all.
Yeah, you have no air conditioning, but if you do, like it's maybe a small unit, and
Yeah.
those small units will actually suck up more power than
Oh yeah, they're super inefficient.
than a proper one. Exactly, super inefficient. So that's probably a big aspect of it, because most people are fucking renting, and landlords don't care about putting in air conditioning, and like it's probably building standards. I'm assuming has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
And the fact that nobody again has an incentive to change.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like I'm split, because at the same time, I guess it's just like it's a freak. Like, how often does this happen in Texas like this?
Well, it
Does this
doesn't.
ever happen before? Like, if it happened often, the free market would fix it, right? Like, if
Right.
it's
That's-
not their fault. Like, a tornado goes through
Yeah.
where tornadoes don't usually. Like, a tornado went through Eli, Manitoba, like 10
Yeah.
years ago, and it destroyed a bunch of shit. It's like, well, why didn't you airproof your fucking homes like they do in Oklahoma? It's like, because
Yeah.
fucking tornadoes don't come through here. I don't know. Like,
Yeah, it could be an example of that, and it will get adapted to, but it's more of like an interesting case study to look at, more so than like anything practical to be learned from it.
yeah.
Like
I think there's no. I don't think anyone's at fault, dude. It's just a fucking fluke happened. Like,
yeah, but if all the scientists aren't bullshitting us right now with the Jewish cabal and all that stuff that's going on, it's probably gonna happen more. So
was it? Who was it that said? Wasn't Ted Cruz? Was it that said? We can't. Using solar power isn't sustainable because it'll drain the sun.
oh, that sounds like
There was
something Ted Cruz
there was
would
an
say.
elected, I think, Texan that said that legitimately, like, okay, yeah, you can use fucking solar panels in your house and
But
shit.
for how long?
But if the entire country used them, we'd like run out of fucking sun power.
Yeah.
Like, when these are the same people that are saying like they didn't want to put up wind turbines because they kill birds or something. I don't know. Like,
Yeah, well,
well, didn't Trump say you
wind
get
turbines,
cancer from them?
God, I don't know. Like wind turbines have real problems, but it's mostly like noise pollution.
Yeah, but we have a massive wind turbine farm in southern Manitoba here.
We have a bunch of them.
Yeah,
Yeah, and they're like,
that's fine.
one of my friends, she lives like 3 miles away from it, and you can see them, but you can't hear them from 3 miles away.
Yeah, I always see people. This will kind of tie into another thing we were talking about just off camera, where I always see people that are like super pro. Like, we have a big oil and gas industry, and especially in Alberta here. Couple provinces over, like, like 80% of their economy is based on oil export, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have a couple people, like, people that failed high school that I went to high school with that moved out to the rigs to make money because they can't do anything else, kind of thing. And not disparaging you if you're not smart enough to do anything else, but just
Yeah.
it is what it is. But make your money, man. I'm not hating on it, but what I am hating on is some of these fucking people are just so gung ho for oil and gas, and they always share shit on Facebook where they're like, these fucking, they'll share a picture of a broken wind turbine.
Yeah.
And they're like, look at all this pollution that this has caused. Like, it's rusted or whatever. And it's just, I've seen this picture a few times where it's like rusted and the blade fell off.
Yeah.
It's like, now look at all this fucking pollution. Oh yeah, green energy, my ass, like that shit. And it's like, okay, but the one I saw today, which we were talking about just off camera, was someone was just like basically, okay, if you don't support us expanding the sentiment was if you don't support us building pipelines and expanding the gas industry, then turn off your heat, park your car, and fucking walk around and cook with a fire.
Yeah.
You know, and fuck you, you can't use any electricity. And I counterpointed that our province generates over 100% of their electricity from fucking water hydroelectric dams.
Yeah.
Right.
And wind.
And then and wind and other stuff. And then we were talking about
We actually supply I believe it's New York.
no,
with
we sell that in North Dakota and Minnesota.
But like I think I was listening to an interview of the governor of Minnesota. But yeah, apparently a lot of the power they said Canada, the like power we get from Canada gets routed
No,
through.
Quebec sells a bunch to New York or Ontario because they're right on the border there.
Yeah, I mean, the grid's all connected, but I think like a lot of those states that are right there kind of have similar systems to us, where they're mostly self-sufficient.
Yeah, which is.
But
whatever.
anyways,
I'm not necessarily against oil and gas. I just think it's a bad so what I ended up saying, if you've listened to this podcast, you know I'm notorious for I have like 10 minutes between a meeting, so I'll just spend it trolling people on Facebook, and then I'll just turn off the comments after I'm done, and then they're just like yelling into the void. I've checked back a few times, and there's like 400 comments of them just arguing with people, and I'm like, oh god, look what I started.
what have I done?
And they're like, they're tagging me, and they're like, right, what's your opinion? And I just have it muted, right?
Yeah.
So I said something because they're like, well, if you want to be green, because I'm shitting on gas, I'm like, it's a bad investment, we shouldn't be relying on it. And they're like, well, if you want to be green, go live with a fucking lean-to in the forest and whatever. And I'm like, no, I don't give a shit about the environment. I just
think it's a bad investment.
I just think it's a bad investment. Like, we have 40 years of fucking oil left before, like, at our current rate of population growth.
Yeah, like you don't. That's. I think that kind of really sums up a lot of these arguments that they try to juxtapose, like oil being a bad investment with, so you're now it's about climate change.
You're just some lefty, like,
right? No, those are separate issues.
They're complete. Yeah, 100%.
Like most of our oil and gas industry actually doesn't affect the environment as much as a bunch of other things we do.
No, our a lot of our drilling
It's super clean.
is super clean. We don't do fracking or anything like that, and the pipelines are safer than like oil tankers and stuff.
Yeah, I mean they do still fuck up a lot of.
Yeah, but
things.
but right now, because Trudeau blocked that fucking pipeline, they're shipping oil via truck from Alberta to the coast, and then shipping it around like the Cape of Good Hope, like around South America, back up to Newfoundland to get it to our other coast.
Nice.
Like, it's insane. Like, I can agree with like pipelines and oil and stuff without, like, it's a what? We've had combustion engines for 150 years. Like, why are people so romantic about fucking ancient technology? Like, I don't get it. I don't.
And if you put it into perspective, like bad business, just Saudi Aramco.
Yeah.
Like they could, with like a rounding error, they could wipe out the Canadian oil industry.
Yeah.
And not feel it.
Yeah. Well, OPEC historically has, like, not colluded, because that's what they're supposed to do, but remember when Saudi Arabia was like, when oil was $100 a barrel, and Saudi Arabia, the prince is like, I'm never letting it get that high again, and then just now it's $30 a barrel?
Yeah. Because
he's like, no, fuck you, America. Like,
yeah, no, and that basically just killed a massive part of it.
Yeah, well, and Canada's oil, a lot of it isn't because we have, don't get in the comments and yell at me.
Don't fact check me.
Don't fact check me. No, it's like heavier. It's not good for petrol. The oil we have.
Yeah, it's not as good. The oil sands oil.
It's the oil sands oil.
It's more crude. It's like a heavier, darker.
They use it for plastics and
crude.
shit. I think.
Yeah.
Like, it's not good for petrol.
Yeah.
So number one, they're like, don't drive your car. It's like, go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself. You're making Toys R Us toys.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get why people are so angry about It's like you're using a fucking flip phone. You're like, oh well, this works perfectly fine. I don't know why you got to use your fucking iPhone. Like,
well, pollution, that one gets.
you know how much money I make selling these fucking flip
Nokias.
phones? Yeah, and then your store goes out of business in 10 years when fucking iPhone takes over. Like, oil and gas aren't going to be around forever. Like, and not only that, they're not going to be around much longer. Like, people have got their fucking millions out of it, and the industry's on its way out. Fucking, would you see like GM committing to like being 100% fucking electric cars in like
and that's
15 years?
The fact
like,
that happened right after Biden got elected is not coincidental
No.
because of like the Green New Deal, right?
Yeah.
Because a car maker like GM or any big company doesn't want to be at the behest of whoever's in office, because they want to go with, just like with safety standards, you want to go with a worst case scenario all the time, and plan for that and make that your primary option. Because if all of a sudden your job site switches from provincial to federal, or from federal to international or whatever, if you have multiple things happening, you always want to go default to the worst case scenario so that when shit happens later, you don't have to go back and all of a sudden fix a bunch of things. So GM is doing this preemptively because if the administration does the Green New Deal or not, let's say they pull it off and then Trump gets back in office and reverses it all, GM isn't going to reverse their policy.
they're still going to have electric cars.
Because, they're not going to wait for the government to force them to do it.
Yeah.
Because that whiplash is
then
what would ruin their business, not actually doing it.
Yeah, agreed.
So very smart on their part.
Like, from an investment standpoint and from a business standpoint, like, why do people, these fucking wells, these oil wells are expensive. And there's a ton of them in Alberta now that, like, once oil, lowered from where it was, from $180 a barrel or whatever, they just abandoned them because it wasn't profitable to fucking...
Yeah.
It's like, how shitty of an investment is that? Like,
it ain't good. It ain't good.
I just don't get why people are so romantic about... But I guess that factors into every business. That people get romantic with their fucking businesses.
Well, I think a lot of it stems from you start with the thing that you love, and then you backwards from there start creating the reasons as to why it's a good thing. Especially when it's like something like oil and gas. Like you said, it's ingrained into the Alberta culture. They will start with that identity.
Much like Texas.
Right, exactly. Just like Texas. They start with that identity, and then
they try to justify
backwards from there will come up with the reasons why it's good.
Because, like, everyone's counter argument is always like, well, okay, then don't use your fucking heat in your house. I mean, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's a bad investment. Like,
there are other ways to heat your house. Like I said, there's houses that exist in this province that you can literally heat with a hairdryer.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, if you do the math on it, you could just get like a tiny wood pellet stove, have a pickup truck full of wood pellets would heat your house for 2 years.
Yeah.
Like, that's low impact. Like, you could literally cut down a tree in your yard and start growing another one. And, like, the amount of wood that you're burning could be sustainable if you have so many trees. Like, you could do that.
Because the other argument I hear all the time is like, well, fucking Teslas and shit, you got to make the lithium-ion batteries somehow.
Yeah, but
and that's terrible for the environment.
Yeah, but even that's a limited thing. Like, battery technology is evolving so quickly.
That's what I said.
They probably won't even be using that.
Look at the combustion engine we were using in the fucking Model T versus the combustion engine. They're like almost unrecognizable from each other, right? Like, the technology will advance.
Yeah, I think even with like battery technology, I was listening to something about like
we'll be using potato clocks.
Yes.
To power everything.
Oh.
Do you ever hear
Return of the Spud?
Did you ever hear about this guy invented a car that ran on water?
Yeah.
And the CIA killed him?
Yep.
Because the U.S. government like came to his house to like buy, just Google car that runs on water, and read the story. This also happened to the guy who built a car completely out of hemp. The frame was made of hemp plastic or hemp metal or whatever. It ran on hemp oil, all this shit. And so the U.S. government showed up, said, hey, we'll buy the patent off you.
And crushed it.
And they said no. And then they killed themselves by shooting themselves in the back of the head.
Oh, I hate when that happens.
I hate when that happens.
I just get so stressed out. I put a gun to the back of my head, and then I just suicide myself.
If I ever kill myself, which I'm not saying is not going to happen, I think I'm gonna leave a suicide note that says like I would never kill myself, and then shoot myself in the back of the head.
Just set up some impossible rig that like leaves no trace.
Yeah, well, just like Kurt Cobain. No, wait, he didn't kill himself. Never mind.
One of my favorite conspiracy theories is I think it's Kobe Bryant and fuck, what's that? Avicii.
Yep.
And
yeah,
who was the
and
third one?
wasn't it like Corey Feldman and they all
they
the
were all
pedophile thing?
They're all working on like a pedophilia documentary, and they all like quote unquote got in accidents and committed suicide within like a year.
Yeah, we talked about this when.
And now the company that owns the rights to it is connected to Epstein.
Yeah, we were talking
They
about
bought the rights.
We were talking about this right when Kobe Bryant died in that helicopter crash. On this podcast, I think,
He got suicided.
The company that bought the documentary showing all these Hollywood pedophiles was Kobe Bryant's production company. And then he gets killed in the helicopter crash.
Yeah.
Like, why did his experienced pilot fly in a fucking fog? Like, that doesn't seem... I don't know. Like, sometimes... Like, I have two
We've all been lampooned.
I have two simultaneous thoughts on that. Is Occam's razor, where the simplest explanation is usually the true one, and also fucking fact is stranger than goddamn fiction half the time.
Well, I would say Occam's razor actually does apply to this situation, because if he is doing a documentary,
it was the pedophile cabal. That's pretty simple.
like it's you don't even have to say the pedophile cabal. Like you could say like there's one kingpin out there who has enough interest in crushing this. Like one of the major issues right now in Portugal is farmers are trying to become independent from the drug cartels, but the drug cartels pressure these small independent farmers to
in Portugal?
grow coca.
I thought drugs were illegal in Portugal.
Yeah, but I mean, like, they still export.
You can't grow cocaine in Portugal. You're probably thinking of the wrong. Portugal's a very temperate climate. It's in Central Europe.
I might be getting my wires crossed on the country. It is South America, though.
Yeah, okay. Portugal is nowhere near South America. Portugal's right beside Spain.
Sorry. Fuck, damn it. I always... This is the one thing with geography that always fucks me up, is I grew up with a girl who spoke Portuguese.
Brazil.
And she was Brazilian.
Yeah.
So whenever I hear Portugal, I think Brazil.
Okay.
I know it's not true.
Yeah.
I know where Portugal is.
Because Brazil got colonialized by Henry the Navigator.
He was a good navigator. He found...
I don't know if it was actually him, but...
He found the thickest...
Trees,
and he got him. No, it was... I don't know, wherever they are growing a lot of fucking cocaine instead of chocolate.
Colombia.
It was probably Colombia. But anyways, the cartel's pressuring cacao farmers to grow coca. And cacao coca. I mean, it pretty much rolls off the tongue the same way.
Are you okay?
So it's fine. They're trying to break free, but the activists here are just getting suicided left, right, and center.
Zerp.
And there's no government infrastructure.
We don't even need to suicide people, though. You can just fucking shoot them.
Yeah, no, they just get shot. But there's like no government infrastructure in these areas, so activists get like military support. So there's like a bunch of like Greta Thunbergs running around with armored vehicles and like a Secret Service detail, but it's like not working because you can't replace like law and order and like in general in an area
with fascism
with just a couple of Secret Service guys, because they just get like IED'd on the side of the road, and then the farmers got to keep growing some coca.
Yeah.
But where was I going with this?
I don't know. I never know where you're going. Partly because I don't listen, but
ain't that the truth?
Hey,
no, we're talking about the Occam's razor.
Yeah.
Like that's a little bit crazy. The fact that activists who are like trying to get chocolate made are getting killed by drug dealers. Like that's a little bit, without the context, it seems insane. But if somebody threatens your bottom line, like there's no, like it makes complete sense.
It's like when Coca-Cola was killing union delegates.
Exactly.
You ever see that where like Coca-Cola in their like Brazilian plant hired like rebel leaders to kill Union chiefs, like instead of negotiating, because you can just do that down there, right?
Oh, it's like latest update on Myanmar.
Free market provides.
Yeah, Myanmar and the coup down there. So they, I think this is Myanmar. I might be mixing up my countries again. I'm getting.
Man, you're fucking wasted.
I'm not wasted.
One shot.
It's just been a long day, and I consume so much information. It's like really hard to disseminate locations and information. But I'm gonna say Myanmar, and you can figure it out for yourself if you're that well informed.
I like that our podcast is just feeding people incorrect information. And
No, it's correct information, just seeded with little kernels of
see, but that's
red
why,
herrings.
That's why we know that our listeners are the most intelligent podcast listeners in the world, because they have to like discern from what's true and what's not true.
Exactly. Yeah, no, but
Cheers.
Another genius.
We're taking another tequila shot.
Yes, thank you. Okay, yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it's Myanmar.
The tequila jogged your memory.
Yeah, no, I'm remembering more of the story now. So, people there are actually protesting in a way more overt and public way than they would have whenever the army was previously ruling, because they had 10 years of democracy, even if it wasn't a true democracy. They don't want to let it go. So they're pushing back really hard. Something like 40% of public service workers have walked off the job. And what the military has done in response is they've released 20,000 like violent criminals from the prisons. Their reason is because they're making room for quote unquote secessionists.
But the real reason is you can't fucking fight a.
No. Here's the funny thing. This is what they did last time. It's funny. They're literally using the exact same playbook last time this happened. So they let loose all these criminals, and they say on one condition. We have a riot problem, like a protest problem right now. There's a bunch of people like protesting our military rule. We'll let you out of prison if you go and just like fuck up these protesters. So they literally start bussing.
Good goddamn deal.
They start bussing in criminals like by the hundreds and just like let them loose into the crowds of protesters, and they just like massive brawls ensue.
I haven't heard anything about this.
They did this. Apparently, this is what they did the last time, and now they're like, yeah. So we released 20,000 people from prison. Everyone's like, ah, shit, not again.
Not again. But like you said earlier, fucking liberals don't learn.
Yeah, it's absurd, but it's fucking happening. It's hilarious.
See, yeah, but fucking truth is stranger than fiction half the goddamn time. Like,
yeah. So that, along with the fact that Occam's razor is usually. Oh, come on. Thank you.
You can't drink water.
Water's for pussies. Yeah, I don't think Kobe Bryant died because his pilot fucked up.
Update, a little bit of grenadine makes this fucking cocktail way better.
Nice.
A little bit of sweetness. It's quite sour.
So,
I wanted to talk about, or did you have something?
No.
Okay.
No. I did not.
I wanted to talk about, I think we're going to have the same opinion on this, but I wanted to talk about cancel culture is in the news again.
Yeah, my favorite.
Because of...
Can't wait to get canceled.
Yeah.
For this podcast,
but
most likely.
yeah, most likely. But this relates into business because I think this affects people. Okay, like, so for context, Gina Carano, who played Cara Dune in The Mandalorian, Disney presents, George Lucas presents, Star Wars presents The Mandalorian television show, was fired from the show for saying, I don't know what, I think the straw that broke the camel's back was, she said being a conservative in America is like being a Jew under Hitler.
Oh, yeah. Just a really shitty thing to say, honestly.
But,
yeah, very...
Yeah, well, it's...
If you're bringing up the Holocaust, just stop tweeting.
Here's a funny one, though. A bunch of people were then posting Pedro Pascal, the guy that plays The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
He had tweeted months ago a picture of the kids in cages beside a picture of kids at Auschwitz.
Mm.
And
that's
right.
I feel like they've had this conversation on set before.
So like, that's fine to tweet. And
Yeah,
I'm not
course.
taking an opinion either way. I like Pedro Pascal. I loved him in Narcos. I think he's great in.
So topic of tweet aside.
Topic of tweet aside, a lot of people. Well, and now the what happened is fucking Ben Shapiro gave
Oh, I love Ben Shapiro. His novel is fire.
gave Gina Carano a show on Daily Wire. Or or they're going to be making a movie or a television show or something.
Oh no.
Written and produced by her.
Oh no.
Starring her, funded by Ben Shapiro.
Oh no.
So, as like you can't cancel them if you fucking take matters back in your own hands, whatever. But I Twitter kind of blew up with the whole cancel culture thing. Like, number one, that's a term I don't like.
Yeah.
Like, consequences of your actions isn't fucking... Like, I've heard cancel culture quote... Like, okay, let's define it for people that don't know. It's like people jumping on a bandwagon to cancel somebody to, like, get them fired, get them, blacklisted, whatever, because they said something abhorrent or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But critics of this kind of culture have said, like, okay, but they compared it to, like, witch hunts in, like, Salem.
Yeah.
Where,
Which,
like,
I mean,
or mobs chasing black people through the streets. To be clear, I'm not comparing it to those. I'm just I'm
it's
saying
like
the comparison has been drawn.
white people slightly inconvenienced immediately compare themselves to people with actual fucking issues.
Yeah, to be fair,
Jesus,
to be clear, I am not drawing that comparison. I'm just saying.
No, I know, but it's just it's so infuriating. It's like this is just like that other thing that we did to people that were minorities that we didn't
did to
agree
black
with.
people.
Now it looks kind of a little bit like that, possibly against me, maybe.
Yeah. So, but the idea is, like, I think there was some, I forget the story, but basically the gist of it was someone, Twitter got them fired from their job and like made their husband leave them or whatever. And it turned out it was mistaken identity. They hadn't done anything. But Twitter was like, oh, this fucking girl or this guy's a pedophile or whatever it is. Here's the proof. Send it to the work, send it to their husband or wife, whatever it was, and ruined their life.
Yeah.
And then it came out, it's like, oh shit, we had the wrong guy.
Yeah.
So, but everyone on Twitter had like jumped on
It's
and
like Pizzagate.
Essentially, but like bandwagoned, and that's what the I'm quoting, if you were watching the video, toxic cancel culture. There's a fucking hair on my mic and it's touching my nose. Okay. The toxic cancel culture of like people getting like wrongly convicted of.
Just like anything, it gets taken too far. Like,
Sure.
Like the Salem witch hunts, sure, there were a lot of bad witches that got fucked up and burned, and that was good. But
we also killed
they
a
took
bunch
it a
of-
little too far when they just started targeting all the single women over 35.
To be fair, I
Like,
think we probably
that was
should
a bridge too far.
be burning women. Just kidding. Women do be
Just the magical ones that put hexes on you.
women do be magic. Women do be magic.
They do put a hex on you.
They do.
They do hex you up.
Women
Those
do
heckin' women.
Women do be hexing. I love women, but what do you? So, I guess my opinion is Disney's a fucking private corporation. They have the right to fire anyone.
I would like to bring up, because it's still current and really funny, Trump being permanently banned from Twitter.
Yeah, and a lot of people are crying
Right.
foul at that, right?
Yeah, I would like to first say that Twitter is not that big of a deal. Like, I have Twitter, I barely use it. Most of America doesn't use it.
I use Twitter a lot. But,
Yeah, you use Twitter a lot. Journalists use Twitter a lot, which is why it really controls the narrative news media, is because that's where journalists and a lot of politicians exist.
Well, it just so happened that Trump had picked that as his social media of choice.
Right, but he's also blacklisted from a lot of other stuff.
Well, now he's banned off everything.
Yeah, well, he's bound off,
But
of a lot of things.
imagine if in like 2014.
But he's not fighting it.
Yeah, because okay, here. Why do you think? Not to get too political, because this is a business podcast, but what do you think Trump? I think he's. We were talking about this on the call yesterday.
On our call yesterday. Yeah,
It's like he just doesn't. I think he's just given up. He's
I think
just
he's
like,
fucking
I'm just retired. Like
he's
whatever.
fucking lazy. He's a lazy. Yeah. He's a lazy ass. Like better late than ever. Episode 25. I think he's just too fucking lazy. Like he's given, I think actually the last statement he gave was either yesterday or the Tuesday before. All I know is it was on a Tuesday. I think it was yesterday. But he gave a statement basically ripping Mitch McConnell a new asshole, like as a person, even though Mitch McConnell definitely voted to acquit him. I don't know what he was ripping into him for, but it's like the first statement he's made since the election.
And how did he release it? Fucking emailed it to the New York Post? Or?
No, I think it was like either a phone-in interview or like a virtual interview.
Yeah, because
like,
if Fox News secretary, hello, this is Fox News. Hey, this is Donald Trump.
you know who it is.
Patch me through to Rush Limbaugh. Oh no.
Oops.
Rush Limbaugh died today. That was the
Fuck him.
That was the joke. I don't know enough about him to hate him, but I do know that he in 2016 claimed that smoking wasn't as bad for you as the media made it seem, and he died of lung cancer at the age of 70 this morning.
Nice.
So it's fine.
That's pretty good.
I don't know much about Rush Limbaugh, but
He's just another voice of the American right, basically.
so like Obama. What do you think Obama's last
He's
name is?
much more.
White.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, Obama's last name.
I wonder if we'll ever find out what Obama's last name is.
No, because his birth certificate isn't real. I'm a birther.
Gross.
The birther conspiracy is that he was never born in America because he's not white.
Yeah, he was born in Kenya.
Yeah, because his last name's obviously not real because he doesn't have one because he doesn't have a birth certificate.
Because he was born in Kenya.
Obviously, they don't have paper there. They don't. Have
I've dove deep into that Michelle Obama's transgender.
Oh, that's a funny
and
one.
Actually, Obama's father, because she was a like terrorist in Kenya and then changed their gender or something. It's a whole thing.
I love it.
Man, I don't know. Why?
Occam's razor again.
Yeah, Occam's razor. I think he was just born in Kenya. That's the easiest explanation.
So one thing that Occam's razor doesn't super apply to is King Leopold in the Congo. Like that guy
Genocided more people than Hitler did.
Yeah, and he was so clever and intentional, and like the guy was like nesting LCs and LCs and like constantly evolving the names of them, and like
it's the simplest answer is usually the correct one. It's not always the correct one.
Right, yeah, usually. But he made it like so complicated and convoluted. Like it took forever for people to unravel that he was even doing this. Like,
but then the explanation is he's just being a dick or whatever, right? Like that's the simple explanation, is that one guy's just being a dick. Like
yeah.
You know, it's not. Yeah, I don't know. Like that happens all the time though. It's like you always read stories. It's like what? Like how? Like it's insane. It's like if this was a movie, you'd be like, this is bad writing. This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
but it's like, oh, this is really happening.
Yeah,
like,
this is not believable. Like this wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
That's like King Leopold in the Congo, 100%. Like that was would not pass as a movie plot because it was too unbelievable.
You see the people in Texas that were fucking running like they like CO poisoned themselves because they were running like a fucking commercial heater indoors or something.
Oh, I believe that.
Yeah. And it's like there's a big like warning sticker that says "Don't run inside," and they were like, it was like they were like burning a barbecue in their living room to keep themselves warm or something. And it's like, what are you doing?
Like the job site propane and diesel heaters that we have that we use sometimes in construction.
Yeah,
you only can use those in like super drafty buildings.
Oh yeah.
And even then, you got to be careful because they have so much output. Like those things put out like 4 times as much as a furnace, and that is a shitload of CO.
Mm-hmm. So to wrap up our thoughts here, what is canceling people okay?
I think certain instances of it, like if platforms are doing it, that's one thing. I think a platform kind of has the right to do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think if you want to talk about what's right and wrong, there should be a charter of what's right and wrong on social media, and also like any other law, rule, whatever, like what's right and wrong, and if it's wrong, who's responsible to rectify the wrong. Like, we're just basically thrusting morality upon these private companies that are literally just making a profit,
Yeah.
and now morality is coming into it. Like,
Well, and we all sign.
you
we
can't
all,
trust them to have the right morality for the greater good.
But
Like,
we all agree to the fucking terms of service without reading them.
well,
like,
100%. Like, I agree that, like, that's why I say they should, first of all, do whatever the fuck they want. But second of all, if you don't think that's okay, there needs to be a greater solution that's not just like Twitter should do this. No, it should be social media in general. This is the greater consensus of what everyone can agree should be done on social media.
So, like in the situation with Disney firing somebody for their opinions off camera.
I think Disney has been doing that forever, and telling them to stop is futile. Like,
Yeah.
talk to any Disney like, look at Bella Thorne. She's a product of Disney.
Yeah.
She went one way, and her co-stars went the absolute opposite. But they ripped out of that. So, like, look at Miley Cyrus. Like, it's like being parented by overprotective, controlling, overbearing helicopter parents, and then you like turn 18, and then poof, you go off.
I'm gonna go have a rap career and show my nipples on TV.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna go show my tits off. Like, of course you're going to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Miley Cyrus was on Joe Rogan the other day, was talking about like how she's been smoking weed heavily since she was like 14, or 15 or whatever, and she's like getting stoned as fuck and then going and shooting an episode of Hannah Montana. Like,
love it. Do you know that in the
Disney's been doing this forever?
Did you know that in the pilot episode for Hannah Montana that never aired, like most pilots don't. You show them to the network to get your TV show picked up.
Right.
Her name was Alexis Texas.
I like that better.
It's no one on the cast or crew realized that was already a successful porn star's name.
Nice.
Shout out Alexis Texas.
So somebody like Googled it and they're like, huh.
I think somebody probably was like,
There's probably also a Hannah Montana, to be fair, but they were able to buy her videos off the internet and like get her to like put them away. Alexis Texas couldn't be bought. She ain't no
sellout. Disney Disney sellout.
Yeah, she ain't no Disney sellout. However, Hannah Montana is a Disney sellout.
I saw
Hot
a good
take.
line that was like, why were there no cops at there was no cops at stopping the Capitol insurrection for the same reason Hannah Montana doesn't go to, or Miley Cyrus doesn't go to Hannah Montana concerts or something.
No, literally. I think like 79 of the people that are getting charged in whatever federal crimes for the Capitol insurrection, 79 of them are active duty police officers.
You're just a lib.
Which nobody is like surprised about.
You know, I don't get all the people, all the left news media that were like saying all cops are bastards like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
But now saying that this was reprehensible. Like taking down invading the system of your oppression.
Yeah.
And making these fucking politicians that have murdered countless minorities for power and money.
Yeah.
Invading and making them actually fear for their life, that's a bad thing now.
I think it's the reason that people did it. Like, people wanted to kill Mike Pence so Trump could have ultimate power.
But if
that's
it was,
not the same as like shooting a cop because he killed a black man.
Okay, but so
like, sure, the end product is the same, but the intention is not the same.
If when the George Floyd protests were happening, if they had been able to storm the Capitol, would the narrative be different? If the exact situation happened, same amount of people died, that cop still died, whatever, but it was for the left, not for the right, would the narrative be different? Or would...
No, it would be totally different. They would have nuked Detroit by now.
Yeah.
That like a literal tactical nuclear bomb would have been dropped on like on southern.
I saw a
Detroit.
bunch of great pictures of all the Senate people like hiding under their tables with a bunch of Black Sabbath War Pigs lyrics. Like,
I think intention has a lot to do with it because if you look at the George Floyd protests, they typically, I mean, this isn't in every case, but typically these start as protests. The police have a violent overreaction to a peaceful protest where they like respond to signs and shouting with like
and they push that 80-year-old
tear
man,
gas and assault,
push that 80-year-old man,
tear
over
gas
onto
and
the concrete.
assault,
Yeah,
and then from there, the protesters will come back and like, okay, now we're gonna like break some windows and start some dumpster fires. Like it's reciprocal, but it's initiated by the police.
These libtards can't organize properly to have an actual insurrection.
Why would they have an insurrection though? They're pro democracy. Like,
Well, you can have I guess rebellion would be the better word then.
Yeah, a rebellion, sure, but like it's that like that none of that like they're not super organized because it's a bunch of people with like differing opinions.
Yeah, we always talked about this. It's like the right is united by their hatred of the left, and the left is 47 different sects of people.
Yeah. No, you. Here's another great quote that I heard. You unite the right, divide the left with a social agenda, but with economic issues, you divide the right, unite the left.
Okay, that's interesting. I think I'm a communist now.
I think I'm just an anarcho-capitalist.
I'm just an anarchist. What is it? What's the name for someone who doesn't care?
I think you're more anarchist than anything.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think you're anarcho-capitalist.
I'm also getting now. It's been recently where I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. If the government's gonna be wasting my money, they should just give everyone fucking UBI. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Like, fuck it. Like, give everyone homes. Fuck it. Whatever. Like,
the issue is the left is nuanced, but the right is polarized.
Yeah.
Like that's usually what's wrong, and that like capital insurrection. Why is it wrong? Why is it any different? I just think it's different because, for one, they were just literally trying to violently overthrow democratic process. I don't think there was any big brain there that was like, okay, what's this going to do in the greater overall
to be
picture,
absolutely
right?
fair, though, the election was rigged.
All elections are rigged.
Oh,
Like,
hot take.
Hot
take. Yeah.
They're all fucking gerrymandered. Like, you think
Yeah.
the one thing that dictates who gets power is above reproach? Literally everyone's fucking with it all the time. Like,
well, and also that's like a surface level. It's all rigged. Then go one step higher. You really think the people in power would let us have these elections if they did anything? Like,
it's there.
The fucking...
I think there's a degree of actual freedom nested with perceived freedom and choice. Like,
the cycle keeps turning.
Yeah.
Like, nothing matters. Which is why I just drink a lot.
Exactly.
Which is why, well, I think that's why, like, at my core, I got into doing business, was because I just wanted to be accountable to nobody, and I could just make my own money and get rich and then not have to deal with this bullshit. I could just kind of do whatever I want.
Yeah, rise above through your own means.
Yeah.
But
which I think, I truly believe that's the only way to kind of free society. I think if everyone just bought Dogecoin and got rich, then they couldn't, like... I don't know.
It would work for a certain group of people. It's never going to work for everyone. Because
but it's like...
everyone can't get rich.
But then, you have a socialist rebellion, you have a communist rebellion, and the same shit happens, right? Like, it's just... You end up with... I don't know. I think this is, in my opinion, the only way to free everybody, I think, is just through freedom through work. What is it called? What was the Nazi thing? Freedom through work. Something like that.
Something like that. That,
I don't know.
Yeah, whatever was posted on the
I don't know.
concentration camp fences is Willow's motto.
Huh?
No, one of the funniest or most interesting things that I've kind of heard in the past year is just all of the similarities between fascist propaganda and like Trump's marketing campaigns.
Yeah.
It's like it's the same words, just like
Yeah, but
rearranged from 1940s German into
Yeah.
2020 American English. It's saying the same things,
But
and
then-
everyone's like ah,
But
and it's
then-
super exciting. But because all it is, it's basically harkening back to when you used to be great.
Yeah.
Is the entire
But,
ideal like that's what fascism's
but then-
all about?
I was looking at like our Liberal and Conservative Party here in Canada.
Yeah,
They pretty much have the exact same slogans.
yeah,
It's like "Build Back Better" or something. It's like
yeah. Like same as Biden's. Yeah,
it's literally, or maybe that is Biden's. But
Yeah.
well, okay. How is "Build Back Better" different than "Make America Great Again"?
Build Back Better is progressive. Make America Great Again is
It's
regressive.
the same sentiment.
No, Build Back Better is we will build something new and better.
I don't know.
Make America Great Again is like
It's all semantics.
let white
though.
people own
like,
the black people again.
Just kidding.
Like that's the difference. It's progressive versus regressive.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's
don't know.
always the difference.
I
And regressive is always a lot easier to get behind because it's less scary than something new.
I'm so disjointed. Like I don't care anymore. Like
Right? It's so confusing. Like the more I think about it, the more I'm like, you know what? I should just actually get involved and just stop talking shit. But every scenario that I can dream up, and this is my issue with doing literally anything in my life, is I just think about all the scenarios going forwards, and I'm like, I could spend my entire life and get, let's say, the most I'd ever want to do is I become like
the mayor of Morden, Manitoba.
no.
Wow.
Like let's say I became like a foreign affairs secretary or something like that.
Sure, yeah.
Like an appointed person that doesn't run a campaign. You know, you're appointed by a democratically
No one
elected
knows who the
official.
fuck you are.
Exactly. No one knows who the fuck you are, but you're, someone that actually has as much or more power than the prime minister himself because you're the one with the actual relationship. You have the conversations.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm here on behalf of the prime minister. He says I could say this, but like you're the one setting the agenda.
Yeah.
Like that's really how high level politics works. It's the cabinet members that have a lot of this power. But like I could see myself doing something like that, but at the same time, like what do I get like 4 years, 8 years in a position of strength.
Yeah.
And I do a couple of things, like I move the needle a couple of millimeters.
And then it gets moved back by the next
And then it
administration.
gets moved back, or it's like,
Well,
and it
wait.
just becomes, it's irrelevant. Like,
Which is why, like, I think,
Like
I think goodness comes from the bottom up, not from the top down. Like, I think the government, no matter what government we elect, no matter what socialist government we elect, no matter who, is going to be corrupt and fucked and not actually help people. I think that goodness and helping people comes more efficiently from charity from the bottom. Like, everybody doing their part.
there's a lot of it that just community will provide a lot more effectively than government will. Like, it's there's so few things that they're actually relevant for, and yeah, it just becomes an infinite overreach in every direction.
Yeah.
And like, how do you fix it? Because it's not a nefarious cabal. It's worse than that. It's 100,000 people
who are shitty
who are
at their
completely
job.
no. It's 100,000 people that are completely self-absorbed and self-interested. That is far more difficult to defeat than a cabal.
Yeah, every single person I've ever met that works for the government, they say the first thing out of their fucking mouth is, "Oh, it's good paycheck, good vacation time." Like, they're
Right.
never talking about the
And
good
they'll
they
do anything they can to preserve that.
Yeah, exactly. They're never talking about the good they do. They're talking about the fucking benefits and
Yeah.
the 4-hour work day and fucking $80,000 job. Like,
Yeah, it's like an $80,000 job, 4 hours a day of work, 4 hours a day of dog fucking,
if that.
6 hours a day of dog fucking, 2 hours a day of emails, and then like 10 minutes of productivity every year. And sometimes they move the needle. Like, it's like, what's the argument of that one politician? He's like, yeah, if we simplify the tax code, then 20,000, CRA employees are going to lose their jobs.
Yeah, Jagmeet Singh, the leader of the New Democratic Party in Canada, which is our farthest left party, because a few other politicians want a one-page return, so it's really simple for Canadians to file their taxes. And his actual argument on the fucking debate stage was, if we simplify the tax code, CRA employees will lose their jobs.
Yeah. And I think that sums up the Canadian economy really well, where we're just like...
Oh, it's mostly government.
Our economy is basically propped up on like taxes, oil, colonialism, and government jobs.
50% of our... 50% of our wages are taken in taxes and then given to 50% of our jobs, which are government jobs.
And then 50% of the economy is extracting non-renewable resources that either we don't own or shouldn't own or won't have for long.
Digging under native reserves to steal fucking...
Well, no, like Canada through private corporations is like a straight up colonial power like in South America. Like you ever heard of the Banana Wars? Like,
oh no.
It's brutal.
I had, that was actually my nickname in high school.
The Banana Wars?
Yeah.
Nice.
You ever play Bloons Tower Defense?
Yes. So much.
One could call that a banana war.
Till I literally lost some eyesight.
I went to go play it like a month ago.
And?
Fucking Flash Player doesn't exist anymore.
Oh.
You can't play it anymore.
So like addicting games and miniclip and all that shit's gone.
They're gone.
What? That sucks.
Yeah, fucking Adobe discontinued Flash Player.
Why?
It's expensive, I guess. When I think it was really it was like
inefficient.
It was really, I think, like people. Yeah, it's old, and anything old, like if you don't if you don't keep your computer up to date, it's like really much easier for you to get viruses.
Yeah, and keeping Flash Player up to date and safe and secure on all the browsers and tech we have today is probably hard.
When it's just, I think it's just inefficient. There's better ways to write fucking games now.
Can we call James? Ask him why Flash Player is irrelevant and just
we cannot
leave for 25 minutes?
No, we cannot call my computer programmer or my website developer to ask him why Flash Player doesn't exist anymore.
I'm sure he'd give a very riveting lecture.
Probably. But, yeah, so rip fucking my childhood, man.
That sucks.
Flash games, Flash videos.
What about Boxhead?
But yeah, fucking everything, man. Fucking miniclip, fucking yeah, all that shit. It's brutal. Well, and do you remember all those like early internet, early 2000s like cartoons that people would make? I'm trying to remember, like Trogdor. Remember Trogdor? Or Tyler's in the bathroom right now. I'm just talking to myself. But what's another one? Or like the Ultimate Showdown of Ultimate Destiny or whatever, that shit. All those old cartoons, man, they're all gone. They're lost forever. Just kidding. They're probably on YouTube. But it's just it was such a different internet. Like now kids are growing up with Steam Greenlight and shit, and I guess pirating. I don't know. My internet was a lot different. I sound like an old man now. But yeah, I don't know. Things are changing, which I think is generally a good thing. I don't think that we should. I mean, like, I think you can at the same time be nostalgic while also wanting progress. Like I'm complaining about fucking mini clip not existing anymore, but it's like, how does that really affect anything?
No, like I'm sure there's probably a version on
there is a version on Steam. I checked.
I was just gonna say
I went to go play it, but it's like $9 or something. I'm like, I'm not paying $9 to play Bloons right now. I'm not that bored.
I mean, wait till it goes. You get like a Steam sale, and then you can get it and all the other games you play.
Word, yeah. Yeah, I was. I've been trying to play more video games because I used to be super into video games when I was a kid.
Same.
And then I took 5 or 7 years off because I was just building my business.
And now everything is so much better.
Well, yeah, and I just bought this. If you're watching the video version of this podcast, you can see kind of in the corner in the right side of the screen, you can see my monitor. It's a 1440p monitor, so it's between Ultra HD and 4K. Because I talked to one of my employees, actually is super good. He like streams on Twitch and stuff. Look up Sculler 101 on Twitch and watch Wyatt stream. Tell him I sent you. But he was saying like my computer isn't good. Like I just have a laptop, so it's not like it's a brand new laptop. Like I spent $2,200 on it, but it's not good enough for like a 4K monitor. Like you wouldn't tell the difference as much. Like my hardware is not good enough. Yeah. But he said the difference between UHD and 1440p, absolutely you'll tell the difference. And I've been using this monitor. I was playing some Star Wars Battlefront, some 2017 Battlefront, and holy fuck do you see a difference from the Ultra HD. Like it is gorgeous. Like 60 frames a second, fucking 1440p, it's nice.
Yeah, I remember when I got my LG TV, that was like the new generation of whatever higher refresh rate, and it was just an eerily smooth display, especially with video games. Like my friends would come over and they're like, okay, can you like turn that down because like,
I remember
fuck with your eyes.
Yeah, I remember early HD. Everything looks like a fucking sitcom because everything's in focus. Right. It's because your eyes don't know how to process it properly. True motion or whatever LG called it. We're getting better at it now, though, the technology. Yeah. 4K, they have 8K fucking TVs now. Yeah. I saw one set up when I was buying my projector for my office. I was they had like a video game. They had like an Xbox plugged into an 8K TV just to. All right, it must have not been an Xbox, so there's no way an Xbox playing an 8K, but no. They had he was playing some test thing on this 8K TV, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, like that's fucking crispy. But yeah, man, I don't know. Tech is an interesting thing because it's just so like we've lost. What's the rule? There's a law that like every 7 years tech doubles itself or something.
Yeah, we literally both know this law but can't remember. I know it's the founder of Intel, and that's it. I just can't remember his fucking name.
Well, and we've literally broken that law now. Like tech is now going faster than something we thought wasn't possible.
Everyone's like, "Oh, that's absurd" when he first came out with it. Now it's like that's kind of slow.
Well, now they're building chips. Computer chips that are literally microscopic. Like the space between two of the chips is an atom. Like
it's like the new that's just in general, so many of these technologies are happening because there's an insane economic engine behind them, like displays, like digital displays for one. Obviously has the TV industry, the smartphone industry, the computer industry. Like
so they have an incentive to...
massive economic engine behind them. Also like GPS technology, one of my favorite ones is they're using diamonds.
Okay.
Basically you can it can measure the Earth's magnetic field in such a precise way because like every part of the Earth has a unique magnetic signature because of its Earth composition and rotational masses of whatever under the crust. You can get a more accurate reading of your location, more accurate than satellite, and you could do it like 20 meters underground, or you could be at the top of a mountain. Like you don't need any sight line to the sky. Mm-hmm. You don't need as much battery, and you don't need satellites, and it can't be affected by EMPs. If the Russians like nuke our satellites or it's unhackable because it's literally just reading the magnetic fields.
And what Earth. Is it? Diamonds?
I think it's like I think the base element used in it is diamonds. It's like a tiny chip, like a gyroscope chip, whatever. It fits into a smartwatch.
Uses electricity though?
Yeah, it can run in a smartwatch.
But you said it doesn't get affected by EMPs, but it uses electricity?
Well, I mean, it uses batteries, but like it's not affected by like cell waves and whatever.
Yeah. That's interesting.
So as long as it doesn't lose its power source, I guess they're using it for military applications because if for example, the Russians fuck with our GPS systems, it's not going to, like, for example, knock a missile off course or
They kill us by
a ship or whatever.
the Russia takes over America by like making it so everyone just drives off cliffs because they're following their GPSs.
Exactly.
You know that episode?
Genius.
That episode of The Office where he's like
He drives his car into the lake.
in the lake. He's like, it said go right, and Dwight's like, no, it meant bear right on up here. He's like, no, it said go right, and he turns into the fucking lake
And just like guns it.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking more like the Fast and Furious movie where they like hack in all those cars and just start
I haven't seen
using
them.
cars as weapons.
I've only seen the first one where they're stealing VCRs. It's awesome.
Well, they really get a lot more sophisticated than that.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's actually pretty funny. Like beginning of this franchise, they are stealing VCRs. By the end of the
They're like
franchise,
driving in space.
there's there's hackers tapping into cars because they're so automated by that point that you can control them via satellite.
Yeah, they're like driving he's driving like a Supra, and he jumps onto a fucking moving semi filled with VCRs, and they hijack it. Like, it's literally the plot of the first one, right? Like,
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
yeah, and then the undercover cop like goes into the fucking garage, and there's a bunch of like tube TVs and fucking
Like TV VCR combos.
Yeah, like tube TVs and fucking.
Like, this is worth so much money.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's like what, $200, $300 worth of scrap there.
No, well, yeah, of scrap maybe, but like you can't even sell a TV like that anymore.
Yeah.
Like no one would buy it. You put it up for free on Kijiji, no one would pick it up. Like,
I mean, 2016 Willows might.
I have a combination VCR tube TV somewhere because I have a bunch of
God, of course you
what
do.
are those, VHSs.
So, would you say that the free market economy is provided?
Yeah.
Thanks, China.
I don't even know the context, but yeah.
I mean, technology.
Oh yeah, of course, right? Like this isn't real. Like maybe the internet and computers at the beginning were government funded but every tech innovation we've had over the last 20 years has been completely
Profit-based.
profit-based. Yeah.
Yeah, and everything
And
else
not
is
even,
based
like-
on killing people, so...
Well, not
Between making
Yeah.
money and killing other people,
well, and
we
not
got it
even
pretty much nailed.
But not even like. But look at like Steve Jobs. I think money was at the bottom of his list of things he cared about. Like money was just a byproduct of what he was doing. Like
Yeah, he was obsessed with,
like he wanted to
power
change
and
the
being
world.
the best.
He
like,
wanted to he wanted to prove to everyone that he could do something that no one else could do,
Yeah.
and he wanted to prove that he could change the world. And he did. Right?
Quite profoundly.
I would say so.
And made enough money to build a bridge to the moon. If Apple wanted to, they could probably pay for that.
Apple has more money in the bank in cash
Than Brazil.
than countries have. They have like $200 billion in the fucking bank. Like, it's insane because they just make so much money that they can't spend it, and they're like, okay, like
It's like BlackRock Capital.
BlackRock
Capital is bigger than that.
Yeah, but Apple's a fucking phone.
Yeah, it's not
company.
liquid. It's not liquid cash. It's
Yeah,
assets.
but fucking Apple has it
yeah,
in the bank, like
Yeah.
cash.
where?
Well, you could in fun fact, Ireland, Northern Ireland, I think, because that's where they're headquartered because they don't get taxed.
Well, but that's not where they keep all their cash.
Well, okay, well the
Like,
cash doesn't.
It's probably
exist.
everywhere.
Well, the cash doesn't exist. I
Well,
don't
but
think.
like banks have who indexes that? Is it like it's probably like Deutsche Bank and like 2 or 3 other banks?
Yeah, I would love if it was just in one bank account.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, where are these bank
Yeah.
accounts?
Yeah, I guess all over, but
It's like some bank manager like looking through his accounts. He's like, okay. He's like, what the fuck?
when I think like banks only have to have what is it, like 1 to 20 cash to deposits on hand.
Yeah.
So,
So
if-
what does their branch look like?
Yeah, no kidding. Right? Well, I think at a certain point, if you try to deposit more money than they have, they'd just be like,
They would say no.
they'd just say no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I know a guy that got a big inheritance, and he had to open up like 17 bank accounts because like he couldn't put it all with one account because they're like, yeah, the maximum of your bank account is this. He's like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing.
That's interesting.
So you had to open up a bunch of different bank accounts.
It was like in Ozark, trying to withdraw all his money or whatever, and they're like,
Mhm.
"No, sir, sorry, sir, we don't have it." And then he's like, "Well, actually, I know for a fact that your deposits are this, and if you don't have that much cash, then that's a fucking like FTC violation." I'll be calling the fucking people. That's pretty funny.
Is that the latest season?
No, that was like the first episode.
Oh, fuck, I forget then.
Oh,
Oh, right, when he was trying to run.
Yeah, well, when they were moving to the Ozarks.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they're like, he walks into the vault to get all the money, and then they like hold up a sign that says like, are you like under duress? He's like, "No, I'm not under duress." He's like, "Have you been kidnapped?" He's like, "No, I've been kidnapped." And then they're like,
Oh,
"Sorry,
yeah.
we don't have the money." He's like, "You have 2 FBI agents here. If I actually was kidnapped, you wouldn't have risked not having the money. Now hand it fucking over."
Yeah, really smart guy.
Oh fuck yeah,
That was
that's
so
a good show. I watched all 3 seasons of Ozark in like 4 days.
Yeah. Yeah, if that ain't life goals, I don't know what. When you go to make a bank deposit and they send FBI guys to make sure you're not under duress.
Bank withdrawal, yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, are you kidnapped right now?" He's like, "No, I'm not under duress." Like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, to be fair, makes sense. But
Mood. To be fair, he was under duress.
yeah, or it's like I think 50 Shades, latest 50 Shades.
Ooh.
Like her crazy ex like kidnaps her friend, and then she like has to go pull out like a few $100,000 in cash from the bank. And yeah, the same thing happened. The guy like whatever calls her husband is like, "Oh, is this
Is this like
can I like
kidnapping?
give her $500,000 in cash right now?" And then whatever. Long story short, he's like, "Yeah, give her whatever she wants." But it's like, yeah, that's a major issue. You want to go pull out.
Can I have some non-sequential bills, please? I'm gonna do that
No
next
die
time.
packs.
Next time I go to the bank, I'm gonna ask for non-sequential bills.
And
That's it.
he's pulling out $40.
Can I have Can I have just some non-sequential bills, please? They'll be like, "What?"
It just instinctively hits the alarm.
Well, bills just in a bank wouldn't be sequential, are they?
No.
Because sequential means their serial numbers are one up from each
Yeah.
other, right?
Yeah.
And then they would know that the kidnappers have that money if they ever tried to spend it because they know which serial numbers are.
Right, they could be tracked.
Yeah. But you just go to a bank, they're not fucking in sequence. They're. Right?
I don't know.
There's a pile of money. Like, people are depositing
What are
money,
they
right?
like? They got like a shuffler in the back that's just
That's
like
putting them in order?
no, that's just like shuffling them out of order before they put them in the till.
Well, maybe when
There's
you.
some guy like a blackjack dealer is like with a bunch of money
it's
all
not
day.
automated. It's just a
Yeah,
guy.
it's just a dude with a fucking like green visor,
A hat
and a
like
checkered
mine.
shirt.
This kind of hat.
Yeah,
I don't know where I got this.
I love it.
Thanks. Banks.
Oh, that reminds me. I was watching. It was an episode of New Girl, but she's at this bank and like trying to avoid a friend, so she quickly like sits down on one of the tellers. She's like, "Oh hey," and like just starts like talking, like pretending to have. She's like, "I just pretend to have a conversation with me," and like just is whatever feigning one side of a conversation. The guy just like just starts breathing heavy and like it's like starting to panic, and he like leans back and his hands like slowly moving under his desk, and he's like, just don't hurt me. He's like, "I have a family," and she's like, "Oh God, no, I'm not robbing you." She's like, "My ex is standing over there." The guy's like, "Oh shit." The number of things that could get you shot in America, I think, is just way too damn high.
Well, they've proven you can get shot for literally nothing.
Yeah, you get a couple warning shots in the back.
Buying Skittles, like.
What was that latest police shooting? That just recently got uncovered, and nobody was even asking questions about it because it seemed like a normal standoff where cops had to just kill someone with 11 bullets.
Well, they shot a
Casually.
kid?
No,
that
it
what
was
we're
like
talking
it was like a grown ass dude. It was
Okay.
like an actual like police like 911 call to like a whatever violent tense situation. Some guy gets shot, whatever. Black guy gets killed in violent crime, whatever. No big deal. They finally released the autopsy results. He had 11 shots in the back,
Perfect.
and he was unarmed and like wasn't even actually a part of the initial issue.
Well, and then they just, those Canadian cops just got in shit because they shot a 2-year-old.
Oh yeah,
Remember that?
yeah.
This happened like 5 years ago, but they just actually, this week, got charged with it. or they got found at fault by the independent
Which
investigation.
probably means they get a slap on the wrist and reassigned to traffic cop duty for a week.
Yeah, but they shot a 2-year-old in Crossfire, and yeah.
They killed the father and the 2-year-old, right?
I think so, yeah. Well, and then there was that cop recently that like pepper sprayed a fucking toddler in the face.
Mm-hmm.
Because like they're arresting like the mother, and this like 2-year-old is screaming as one does, or I think it was like a 4-year-old, but and then the cop goes, "You're acting like a child." The child goes, "I'm 4," and then the cop fucking pepper sprays him.
No. That was a no. She was like 12.
No,
and no. This is not. You're mixing up your stories. It was I think she was like 12 years old or 8 years old or somewhere in that realm. But old enough that she was like putting up a big stink and she was like getting out of control, and her parents like called the police. So like, okay, we need to like institutionalize. She actually had like some kind of mental illness or something like that. But like they actually wanted some help, but the police show up and just do what the cops do, and they just start roughing her up, and she's like screaming and hysterical, and they're like, "Stop acting like a child." She's like, "I am a child."
Yeah, it's like, I'm an 11-year-old. Like,
yeah, she's like fucking 12 years old. And they're
so
just
brutal.
like, they're like, "Stop being a child," and they tased her. I think.
Yeah.
Like, super good.
You should never be using that kind of force.
My favorite defense, and this whatever young officer, relatively new recruit that shot this black dude in the back 11 times for the sake of safety, public safety, his defense, and this worked, was that he did exactly what he was trained to do, which is basically...
Which I don't deny.
Are you mildly uncomfortable? Unload your magazine at the darkest person in the room.
Yeah.
Like, that's day 101 in police training, and it was enough to get him off. Like, nobody asked the question, should this be in training?
I wish I could get off.
Like, I guess it's the same way you can get
Pause.
you can get out of a driving ticket if you're like, yeah, this is what I was taught in driver's ed.
I don't know, man. I think laws are meant to be broken. All laws,
including how much grenadine to put in your pommel.
No, now I'm making a gin drink.
Oh, never mind.
It's an hour and a half.
So we devolved from free market economy to cops once again.
Free market. We're just.
I feel like every episode is the same.
I feel like, yeah. Well, this is why I was gonna say, why do people listen to this? But no one does listen to this. So remember how we're like, after we took the COVID break, we're like, you know what? We're gonna come back. We're gonna have fucking more structured podcasts, and then we just don't do it.
We're just too tired. At least I am.
We're too fucking lazy. Well, here's the thing.
I don't have the time, bro.
Neither do I. Is that?
But
we will one day.
No, but this is therapy. Like, this is for me. It's not for you. And that's it.
Huh?
I'm doing this for me.
Okay. All right. I'm really not liking the way you're looking at me right now.
I would like to create more curated content, but it's something that, like, it's such a wormhole that I don't think I'd ever come back from.
We'll figure it out.
Like, yeah, we're going to find a happy medium.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
But just deciding what to talk about is the hardest part, because, like, I don't want to become a political pundit.
No, I mean,
I don't want to become the next league business guru. I don't want to be
I guess
advice man.
I guess that's the
I don't
thing
want to be
is
life
that
guru. Like,
I guess that's the thing is, like, everybody.
I don't want to be an expert in anything. Fuck it. I hate experts.
Yeah.
I don't know anything.
Well, because, like, as soon as we start making content that is a specific content, and we're gonna have fans for that specific content, and
You
we're gonna
pigeonhole
have
yourself.
And yeah, you pigeonhole yourself. So this, for us, this podcast is kind of a good baseline, because we just kind of talk whatever's on our mind. Like, this is what we would be talking about if we were just drinking with each other, which is why we started the podcast in the first place, is that we were already working out our business problems while drinking. Like, that was already what we were doing.
Even my favorite podcasts, I get bored as shit for most of them because they're just always talking about the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think a lot of them.
we don't want to make this podcast an interview podcast, which is
No.
why we like someone like Joe Rogan, is because every episode is so different because you're learning about people.
But even Joe Rogan will get bored because it's still like.
You ever do DMT?
Not.
Man, Jamie, bring up this fucking. You should see this fucking elk. Chimpanzees are fucking crazy, man. Anyway, did you ever do a DMT?
Yeah, no, all the episodes are really kind of melding because he's becoming more of a superstar.
And he also makes 6 episodes a week.
Right, and the episodes are becoming like less about the guests, I think.
Really? I don't think so.
I found like
I don't watch Joe Rogan every day. I watch him whenever there's a
some of the guests are better than us. I
yeah,
should say
whenever there's a guest that I care about.
I've dipped into a bunch of them that are just they just kind of they're just kind of the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
But I mean, fair enough. You make 6 episodes a week.
Well, he's worth fucking
He's doing
number
great.
one podcast in the world for a reason, right? Like he's obviously doing something.
Wasn't there talk about like him getting canceled by Spotify just because of how controversial?
Yeah,
it is?
well, he said it was for the transgender sports things,
Right.
which he's had as an opinion for a long time. Is that
Transgender combat sports, I don't think should be that controversial.
Yeah.
Transgender sports, sure. Combat sports,
yeah, there's
Probably
a difference
different.
between a trans girl playing in fucking high school volleyball and whatever I was gonna say Farrah Fawcett, but that's not the whatever the fucking girl that was a trans woman that fucking was a UFC fighter and beat the shit out of a girl so bad it broke her skull.
Oof.
Just with her fists because
strong.
Yeah. And there was a lot of, hey, maybe we shouldn't let, like
There's a certain point with like
People-
hormone and gene therapy. Like
when it's like
there's nuance to it,
men's bones, biological men's bones are just denser.
Yeah.
They just are. And no level of gender being a social construct, which I pretty much believe,
helps that.
changes how dense my bones are. Like, it's just bones!
Doesn't matter how you feel. Men throw heavy ball farther.
And and when people are actually getting hurt.
Yeah, no, it's
But
just super dangerous. Like, it was hard to get a legalized, period.
Yeah, no kidding.
Now it would be like if they said,
Well, yeah,
all weight classes are equal, and they start putting bantamweights up against heavyweights because that's like weightist
They
or
used to
something.
have to like go specifically to Vegas to have boxing matches, right?
Yeah.
Because you couldn't, because it was illegal
Yeah,
or something, right?
yeah, and
No,
like,
that was UFC, not boxing. Sorry, boxing's always been legal.
yeah. And next thing is we're gonna be getting rid of weight classes because you can't discriminate against how thick
Yeah, because
you are.
Andre the Giant can fuck up Floyd Mayweather. Like, they should fight.
He would.
Yeah, no shit.
Just one fucking palm. He just
Floyd Mayweather's 5'7".
one sweaty palm, and just that's the end of Money Mayweather's career.
Shout out Money Mayweather.
But
What do you think about him fighting
I
Jake
hate.
Paul or Logan Paul?
I love the idea.
That fucking Logan Paul's huge.
Yeah, no, he's a real fighter.
Well, he's huge and he's probably 6 inches taller than fucking Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah, no, it'd be a great fight.
So why is that okay?
Because it's not real.
It's not real?
No, I think
You're not
because like
real.
the skill to size deficit would be fair. Like,
Because he'll be bobbing, right?
yeah, no, Mayweather can stand in the ring with just about any semi-pro out there. Just about. But
Yeah, one more.
yeah, so I don't want to make like trans rights in combat sports a hill that I die on.
No,
And-
I don't care
And
enough
I don't think
about-
it should be a hill that Rogan has to die on. He's just a guy that's been punched in the head a lot.
And he's
and
also
it's like the
he's-
guys that punch me in the head shouldn't be punching smaller people in the head.
And he's also somebody who cares deeply about combat sports. Has
Yeah.
been deeply involved in their proliferation over the years, and cares, I think, about people's safety in general.
And he's super left.
Oh yeah, like
He's
people
so far left.
people people forget how fucking far left Joe Rogan is.
Like, he's completely pro trans rights, gay rights, anything. Like,
well, and then it's like, because I always see people like, oh, fucking, he has Gavin McInnes and Alex Jones. He's giving them a fucking talking point. Then he has Bernie Sanders on. It's like,
just because you give someone a pulpit doesn't mean you agree. He has like Ben Shapiro back to back with like Bert Kreischer. What does that say? Nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. And I always hate the argument of like, oh, you shouldn't give those people a platform. It's like, I think if people are saying stupid shit, you should give them a platform because
Number one,
because
entertainment value.
Because then people are listening. When you listen to them, you're like, oh, this guy actually, Alex Jones legitimately believes there's interdimensional space demons that are feeding off our positive energy.
Yeah, I feel like his interviews on Joe Rogan have almost made him more human, and like kind of discredited him in some ways that couldn't have been done otherwise. Just because it was open.
He doesn't censor himself, but he generalizes.
Yeah.
He Bill Gates is a pedophile cabal, whatever. But in his head, he actually believes, and he only said this on Joe Rogan because he was fucking high as fuck. Because they were passing around the joint. He's like, oh, it's Mexican tobacco or whatever. Got him fucking blasted. And then he's like, I'll tell you what I actually, because fucking Eddie Bravo's like getting all the, he's like egging him on. He's like, no, I'll tell you what I actually believe. And he honestly said that there are like invisible space demons, but there's good ones and bad ones. And the good ones feed off our positivity and the bad ones feed off our negativity. And they're having a war and nothing on Earth matters. But the reason why, Hillary Clinton is sacrificing children is to feed the evil space demons to win the cosmic fight, because nothing on the fucking Earth actually matters. It's all about this, fourth dimension thing going on.
Only Hillary Clinton can win this war.
Whatever. and when he said that on Joe Rogan because he was high, I'm like, oh my God, this man is insane. Like, he's not just like he is, and he dumbs it down for his audience because that's too far for everybody.
And to be fair, Joe Rogan gives him a lot of pushback. He's like, "Whoa, you can't just say that, man. Like, slow down, go back. Like, you just made like 17 leaps,
insane things. It's like, please slow down. Explain to me." Yeah, and I think Joe's a great moderator.
Yeah,
I think he's a great commentator where he can disseminate the information well and keep pace in the conversation. So the average person can listen to it, and understand.
He's an everyman.
Yeah, exactly. And people like to call him a meathead and stuff because he's a fucking, I don't think he straight up calls himself dumb. I don't think he considers himself smart at all. But he has fucking nuclear physicists on.
Yeah, he's not dumb. Like he's good at questions, and
he's charismatic as fuck, right? Yeah. Like, so yeah, it is what it is. It's I don't know. I.
On that note, while we find our identity in podcasting, feel free to give us feedback, good, bad, or ugly. We may or may not read it, and we may or may not listen, but we will take the shots that you tell us to.
I'll read it, but I will probably not listen. Because I'm Willows.
And
@vote Willows on everything.
Goddamn. And I'm Tyler at Tyler _scram. Why do I always say that? _ the Builder on Instagram, and that's pretty much all that I care about because I don't have time to have social media.
Thank you for listening to Alcohol Beyond This Point. That's Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast on Facebook and Alcohol Beyond This Point on Instagram. If you're listening to the podcast right now, please comment where you're listening from. I would love to know because...
And also just list literally any kind of shot.
And we'll do it.
Please.
We'll fucking do it. Yeah, because I use Anchor to upload the podcast. That's what distributes it to all the Apple Podcasts and Spotify and shit. And the statistics on there say we have some people listening from weird countries. And I don't know if that's just
people using VPNs.
Yeah, VPNs or it's just bots or I don't know. So I'd love if you listen.
It's just Zach listening on different virtual machines.
We are getting views. It's not nothing. So I would love to know where you're listening from. Give us a comment wherever you can. Thank you. Have a great month.
And see you next week.
And see you next day.
Or in 5 minutes if you're binging.
Or whatever.